Have you ever opened an app just to look? And 5 minutes later, you're checking out. Or walked into a store for one item and left with three. A gadget you didn't need, a snack you weren't craving. A subscription you forgot about a week later. And at some point, that quiet question shows up. Why did I even buy that? The strange part. It didn't feel irrational in the moment. It felt justified, small, harmless. But impulse spending isn't random. It's psychological. Today, we're unpacking why it happens, how companies design for it, and how these tiny unplanned purchases quietly drain money, even from people who consider themselves disciplined. Impulse spending isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that someone is irresponsible or bad with money. It's human behavior. It's brain chemistry. It's carefully engineered environments designed to trigger quick decisions. Every flash sale, limited time offer, countdown timer, and only to left in stock message is built to bypass slow, logical thinking and activate emotion instead. In that moment, the brain doesn't ask, do I truly need this? It asks, how will this make me feel right now? And right now usually wins. The good news: once you understand the psychological triggers and subtle marketing tactics at play, impulse spending stops feeling mysterious. And when you can see the mechanism, you can interrupt it. Because the goal isn't to eliminate spending. It's to regain control, so money works for you, not against you. Meet Emma, 27 years old, graphic designer. Creative, organized, and surprisingly disciplined with her finances. She plans her meals every Sunday. She tracks her bills in a spreadsheet. She sets monthly spending limits and genuinely tries to stick to them. On the surface, Emma is doing everything right. And yet, at the end of nearly every month, she feels the same frustration. Her savings are lower than they should be. The strange part, it's not because of rent, not because of emergencies, not because of major splurges. It's the spontaneous purchases, a $50 gadget she saw in a late-night scroll that felt useful, a $100 outfit that was on sale and too good to miss, a few coffee deliveries during long workdays that felt deserved. Individually, each purchase felt small, justified, harmless. In the moment, there was excitement, a tiny rush, a sense of reward. But later, mild regret, confusion, and that recurring thought, why does this keep happening? Emma isn't reckless. She isn't financially illiterate. She understands budgeting. But budgeting doesn't protect you from emotion. Because impulse spending doesn't attack logic first. It bypasses it. It shows up when she's tired after work. When she feels stressed about a deadline. When she's bored on a quiet evening. The purchase becomes a quick mood shift. A small reward, a tiny celebration, a distraction. And over time, those tiny emotional decisions quietly chip away at her progress. Emma's story isn't about irresponsibility. It's about understanding why intention and behavior don't always align, and what really drives those spontaneous yes moments. Impulse spending rarely looks dangerous. It looks small. It looks harmless. It looks like just this once. A $5 snack on the way home. That's nothing, right? But $5 a day becomes $150 a month. That's $1,800 a year. An unplanned $80 online order here. A $120 limited time deal there. Suddenly, hundreds of dollars disappear monthly without a single dramatic purchase. Then there are the quiet conveniences, faster shipping upgrades, food delivery fees, in-app add-ons, subscriptions that renew silently. None of them feel like financial decisions. They feel like comfort. So why does this keep happening? Because in the moment of purchase, the brain isn't thinking about annual totals, it's chasing reward. When you buy something, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical associated with pleasure and anticipation. Notice something important. It's not just owning the item that feels good. It's the act of buying, the click, the confirmation screen, the package arriving. That anticipation loop reinforces the behavior. You feel happy. You feel justified. And the long-term cost fades into the background. Now add marketing into the equation. Limited time offers, flash sales, countdown timers. Only 3 left in stock, personalized recommendations. One-click checkout. None of this is accidental. These tactics are carefully designed to create urgency and bypass slow, rational thinking. When something feels scarce or time-sensitive, the brain shifts into action mode. It stops asking, "Do I need this?" and starts asking, "What if I miss out?" Impulse spending isn't random. It's a predictable psychological loop. Trigger, emotion, purchase, reward. And unless that loop is interrupted, it quietly repeats, draining money in ways that feel invisible until the month ends and the numbers don't add up. Impulse spending isn't random. It follows psychological patterns, predictable ones. First, instant gratification. The brain is wired to prefer rewards now, not later. When something promises immediate pleasure, a new gadget, new clothes, a treat after a long day, the brain lights up. It doesn't calculate future savings, it reacts to present reward. That quick burst of excitement feels real, tangible. Saving, on the other hand, feels abstract, so in the moment, pleasure wins. Second, emotional spending. Money is deeply emotional. Stressful day. A small purchase feels comforting. Bored, browsing becomes entertainment. Feeling unappreciated, buying something feels like a reward. The item isn't always the point, the feeling is. Spending becomes a coping mechanism, a way to regulate mood. And because the emotional relief is immediate, the behavior gets reinforced. Third, social proof. Humans are social by nature. When you see friends upgrading phones, influencers showing off hauls, or peers traveling frequently, your brain interprets it as normal. If everyone seems to be buying, spending feels justified. Even if logically you know social media shows highlights, not financial realities, comparison subtly shifts standards. And then come the cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that influence decisions without you realizing it. Scarcity, only to left in stock. Sale ends in 3 hours. Scarcity triggers urgency. The brain equates limited availability with higher value. Missing out feels worse than overspending. Anchoring. Was $100, now $70. Even if $70 is still expensive, the original $100 becomes the mental reference point. Your brain focuses on the discount, not the actual need. All of these triggers operate quietly, they don't announce themselves. They don't feel manipulative in the moment, they just nudge. And that's why even organized, budget-conscious people fall into the trap. Because impulse spending isn't about intelligence. It's about psychology operating beneath awareness. And what operates unconsciously is always harder to control, until you learn to recognize it. Pause for a second, think about the last 3 things you bought. Not the bills, not the essentials, the extras. Now ask yourself, did you plan them, or did they just happen? Did you decide in advance, or did emotion, boredom, stress, or a limited time offer make the decision for you? Your brain is constantly scanning for pleasure cues. Bright colors, discounts, notifications, free shipping, recommended for you. Each one is designed to spark a tiny emotional reaction. And most of the time, you don't even notice it happening. That's the power of awareness. Once you start labeling a purchase as impulse instead of need, something shifts. You create space between trigger and action. And in that space, that tiny pause control begins. Because you can't change what you don't recognize. But once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. Emma didn't try to be more disciplined, she ran an experiment. For 30 days, she created one simple rule. No non-essential purchase without a 24-hour pause. If she wanted something, she wrote it down, not in her cart, in a journal. She noted what she wanted to buy, how much it cost, what she was feeling in that moment. Was she stressed, bored, avoiding work? Scrolling late at night? At first, the pause felt uncomfortable. The urge to just click buy now was strong, especially when a sale timer was counting down, but something interesting happened. After 24 hours, many of the items lost their appeal. The excitement faded. The urgency disappeared. The need shrank. At the end of the month, Emma reviewed her journal. The pattern was clear. Nearly 90% of her impulse purchases were emotional. She wasn't buying because she needed things. She was buying because she wanted a feeling. Relief after a stressful day, excitement during boredom, validation after seeing others buy something similar. Once she saw the pattern, the power shifted. By simply delaying purchases and identifying triggers, she cut her impulse spending by more than 50% in 1 month. Not through restriction, not through guilt. through awareness and pause. And here's what changed most. The money she used to spend impulsively didn't disappear. It moved into savings, into investments, into long-term goals she actually cared about. The key insight: impulse fades, emotion passes. But systems, like a 24-hour rule, protect you from decisions you'll regret tomorrow. And sometimes, the most powerful financial move isn't buying smarter, it's waiting. Here's the wake-up moment. Impulse spending isn't a discipline problem, it's a design problem. If your environment makes buying frictionless, one-click checkout, saved cards, constant notifications, your brain will follow the easiest path. That's not weakness, that's wiring. The shift happens when you stop fighting yourself and start designing around yourself. Add friction to spending, remove friction from saving. Delay non-essential purchases by 24 hours. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. Turn off push notifications from shopping apps. Automate transfers to savings so money moves before temptation appears. These are small adjustments, but small adjustments change behavior. And repeated behavior changes outcomes. Because long-term financial health isn't built on heroic self-control. It's built on tiny, intentional systems that protect you in moments of emotion. And sometimes, the most powerful financial upgrade isn't earning more. It's pausing long enough to choose differently. Impulse spending is human. It's natural to want comfort. It's natural to want excitement. It's natural to reward yourself. But when those small impulses go unchecked, they don't just cost a few dollars. They quietly redirect your future. A few unplanned purchases each week can mean thousands over years. Thousands that could have built savings, investments, security, options. The good news? You don't have to eliminate impulse spending completely. You just have to recognize it and reduce its power. So here's the question: which impulse habit affects you the most? Late night scrolling purchases, food delivery convenience, flash sales you can't miss, subscriptions you forget to cancel? Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about practical, realistic ways to interrupt the pattern and build habits that protect your money instead of draining it. Because awareness turns impulse into intention, and intention changes everything.